Mr. Brickhouse, thank you for joining us today. Jay, thank you for joining me today, I guess I should say. Me and Randy. I wanted to show you two topics colliding on the internet that almost never happens. So I'm a nerd in many ways. One of them is RC racing. I love RC cars. Racing, not so much. The racing part of it's fun, but mainly the cars and running them around. And then lolcows. I love internet lolcows, DSP, LTG. I've recently found out about Chris Chan and Boogie. These characters amuse me a lot. And there's kind of the newest one on the scene, which is the quartering, or the quarter pounder, as you and I have referred to him. And you and I have talked about the quartering, not necessarily being a lolcow, but being what I would call a regurgitator for a long time. Like years ago, you and I talked about this for the first time, where he just basically would put up a news article and just read it through, offer basically nothing in terms of commentary or insight. And that was kind of his whole channel. He would just kind of read like right-wing news articles. And it seemed like it was a good gig for a while. Like it seemed to work, especially during like the primo eras of Trump grifting. Like he blew up quite a bit, and then he started making like, I don't know, a coffee company or some nonsense. So it turns out that he also has a second channel that I'm going to show you here. His second channel is called RC Nightmare. So, and this is something I saw another big YouTuber do as like a gag video. He's like, I'm going to buy channels and see if I can revive them. So this is like a not uncommon thing. There's websites that just deal in like trading YouTube accounts. So I guess it's a pretty common thing. And yeah, it would appear that he did buy this channel and decide to like take it over rather than start his own from scratch for whatever reason. I'm not going to look through and see what time frame that happened. But the previous guy that we were looking at, that guy appears to really know what he's talking about. He's digging apart the car and pulling out the servos and talking about how things work. The reason I wanted to call this out is because the Quarterings channel, of all the things I've seen, it's horseshit. He doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. He buys stuff brand new, unboxes it, and then apparently does nothing with it, or just like runs it around in his front yard for a little bit and puts it back on the shelf. And this was how I found the Quarterings RC channel. I was looking at YouTube RC content. I had also been looking at the Quartering as part of like the big kind of news grift that he was doing. And then eventually the algorithm finally showed me his tiny RC channel. I was like, what the fuck? Is this the quarter pounder badly talking about RC cars? And it was. So the first introduction I had is he's showing off this kind of, there's like big brands in RC and there's much smaller brands. And the people who are in the hobby are very brand specific. Like they know what brands are good, they know what brands are trash, and they've all got really strong opinions on it. And then this guy, Quartering, comes out and he's got like the most milquetoast, like entry level kind of position that I've ever heard. And so immediately I'm thinking, okay, this guy, either he's just like a entry level person, he's brand new, or he's a complete fool and he just believes whatever media is telling him and he doesn't actually drive the cars. I'm starting to think it's the latter. I think he just likes to buy stuff and show it off on his shelf and he doesn't actually use things, which is why I think this thumbnail's funny of him holding a wrench. And we'll get to that in just a second. So, and a couple of these other videos that he's got, like the Losi 5T 2.0, that's a $1,600 RC car that this dude picked up. And then I just want to show you a little bit of the running footage. It's pretty much all this. He's just in his backyard, which he owns this like huge area, I guess. Wait, is he out at a trail? Is that a dog walking thing?
It looks like a trail, yeah.
I thought this was his backyard. No, this is. So I don't know why that trail thing is there, but he later shows this footage that this is his backyard, and because he turns this into a full RC track. And listen to them, like they're like cheering and screaming when the car's doing nothing. It's just going back and forth. But this is the most I've ever seen him drive a car. For most of these videos, he's like showing himself unboxing and just like fiddling around with shit. Like this whole.
But isn't that like a genre of videos on its own? People just love seeing people unbox expensive shit.
Yes, and that seems to be what this is more towards. So this seems to be an unboxing video, but he tries to present it as like an expert in the space. So, and I'll show you two videos that are my my evidence for that. So this one, he's recharging a lithium polymer battery, a LiPo, L-I-P-O. And the general consensus is that yes, you can trickle charge a LiPo battery to kind of bring it back to life. I'm not going to get into all the details of how it dies and all this, but LiPos are kind of like finicky batteries. They're the same thing that are in our phones or in our EV cars and things like that. And there's all this stuff about like if you let it drain too far, the battery will stop working. If you overcharge it too much, it'll explode. And I'm sure you've seen EV car fires and things like that. So these batteries like require a little bit of knowledge and care. So what he's showing here is a way to blow up your house. So he's saying the most dangerous way possible. And so what he's doing is he's either setting his charger to either lead or nickel, which is not LiPo. And he's basically like forcing the charger to do something it's not supposed to do, to like trickle charge a little bit of juice back into the battery to kind of wake it back up. Now you can do this, but it turns out that when you do, it like alters the chemicals inside the battery and it basically makes it a ticking time bomb. So yes, you can do this, but it's just gonna basically put you on a clock until this thing eventually either just snuffs out or possibly catches fire. And if they do catch fire, they're kind of hard to put out. What's fucking wacky about this is that he also made this video, which I'm hoping I can scroll to the right part here. You can see it in the bottom left. So he's got this big white and yellow box. Here's where he's holding it. So these boxes, this is in a video that he made 6 months ago. These are specifically to protect you from that fire. And if you look at the right, do you see how there's 3 bat symbols on cardboard boxes on the right side? Can you see that in the video? Yeah. Randy, can we see this? Okay. So the bat symbols are each one another one of the boxes that he's holding in his hands. These boxes are at least $100. I think they're like 130. I can't remember off the top of my head. The only purpose of these fucking boxes is to store, and you can see they only hold like maybe 5 batteries at a time. The whole point is to like store those batteries, and if they do puff up and catch fire, they're like fireproof and they've got vent holes to let the fire smoke out so it doesn't burn down your house. So 6 months ago, this guy is selling these bat boxes is what they're called. And he's claiming that if you don't use these, your house is going to burn down. I don't know how I can show the thumbnail for this video, but the thumbnail for this video is literally a house on fire. Right here. Don't let your house burn down. I don't know if you can see it in the center of the screen there. He's literally showing like his sad face, 2 batteries, and then a house engulfed in flames. And what is it? 6 months later, he's like, here's a super dangerous way to recharge your battery that nobody else will tell you about. So this guy doesn't give a fuck. He doesn't even know which direction his grift is going. He doesn't know if he's grifting you on the terror of burning down your house and that you need the safety equipment, or if he's the guy who's going to show you the backwater way to do it that will burn down your house. This guy's literally all over the fucking place with these RC car videos. This one here, he's holding up an SCX6. That's another $1,200 car. This Losi 5T rather, that's a $1,600 gas-powered car. Like, these are insanely top-end RC cars. This is a collector's edition SC10 truck that he's holding, and he just unboxes them. Like you can see in every video here, he's got it sitting on the box, perfectly clean tires, nothing's ever been driven, and he's just showing off the shit that he bought. Okay. So,
but I mean, for such a niche channel such as RC cars, I mean, maybe it's huge around the world. I wouldn't fucking know. I am not interested in playing with cars. No offense.
With you? But, I'm offended, but that's okay.
It's always okay to offend you.
That's true.
But I mean, he's getting good views though, isn't he? I mean, for such a niche topic, 14K views, 2.3K views.
Well, so if you look at the leaders in the RC space, I think that's Kevin Talbot. So this guy, he's at 3.5 million total subscribers, and he pulls down one day ago 90K. Shit. But this is the top in the space. Nobody really else pulls down these numbers. This guy is so wealthy from this, he builds his own real monster truck. So that's what you see down here. But this is like the current leader in the space. So you can pull down much bigger videos. If we look at somebody who's like a much smaller, but like kind of the, I don't know, a more reasonable representation. We got a Tom Lee. So this guy is at 280K. There's a couple of channels this size, but not very many. and he's similar. He's pulling down 90K views. Oh, he has 1 million views on that one from a few years ago.
That's really good.
That's really good. Yeah.
How's
so
the
some people
Quartering's
are
main
making
channel doing comparatively?
Let's take a look.
Now I'm curious, you know.
So his main channel has almost 2 million subscribers. His live channel has only 10K. So his RC channel is substantially better than his live channel. Oh God, don't autoplay. So his total views, oh shit, they're not that much higher.
He's still pulling in some really good numbers, in my opinion.
Oh, they are that much higher. Okay, I was confusing. Yeah. So they're like 70x what he's getting on the RC channel. Yeah, so I don't know. To me, it seems like he's still doing fine. Yeah, almost 100K views, most videos. Actually, is that good? If you have 2 million subscribers, what should your average video do? Wouldn't it be like a third or a half of your subscribers would see your shit? Or is that just not how YouTube works?
It's never going to be, it's never going to be that high, but I know viewership trumps subscribers anyways. So if you're pulling in close to like, 100K views per video, you're doing really well, because that's ad revenue, unless you're completely demonetized. But I'm sure you can still milk some Patreon money or something off of that.
Wow, so I guess AI thumbnails are just the way to go these days. Like, these are obviously just all slop images. Okay, but yeah, so that's how his main channel is doing. But what I find fascinating, and this is where it all kind of comes together. So on his main channel, he's been talking about like potentially needing to fire people. He's got like a staff now. He has a coffee company, and apparently he's like begging for money. He's like, oh, we can't go to the Turning Point USA convention or whatever Turning Point USA is doing unless we raise, I think it was $16,000. And he told all of his viewers, like, there's like a donate fund to help get us to TP USA. And that's kind of where this all comes together. So this is what I actually wanted to show you. Oops, wrong tab.
But he's been doing that forever, man. Like, every time I see a post, he was like, look at my coffee company. It's not doing too great because of, I don't know, some force outside of my control. So please donate and buy my coffee. Something along those lines. Like,
well, that's why I call him a grifter, is he's always seemed like a grifter. And it's like, the reason I found out about him I just sort of forgotten about him, but the Kino Casino Kick channel talks about him as like a lolcow, like recurring segment. And so there, how I found out about him, like grifting everybody, constantly asking for money and all the kind of other weird shit he gets up to. And he likes to talk about his poop a lot, apparently. He's a weird character. I get why he's becoming a lolcow. And it's fascinating to watch. Like, I really enjoy actually the Kino Casino.
He's been a lolcow for years now, though.
I guess so.
I mean, I
just
haven't
didn't
kept
know.
up with the lore, so I wouldn't know. But
yeah, there's a whole bunch. Dude, there's crazy shit. Like, apparently there's a sky bull. So he bought a jet for his wife, but he doesn't fly. So he had to like hire a dude to teach her how to fly. So the people who want to rag on him refer to this as the sky bull, like he's getting cucked in the plane. And then similar to the pee-pee monster that we looked into, he's got like pee-pee monster stories where he like, you know what, let me find that for another discussion that we're going to have. But somebody looked at the Quartering having like a diarrhea event and then mapped out the whole path that he took like through a Walmart when he was apparently streaming down one pant leg trying to find the bathroom. And then somebody like made a map of it and like tracked it out based on the story that he told. It was fucking fascinating. So he goes on to then discuss like the building of this actual track. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit so we don't actually have to sit through his video, but this is the thing I wanted to show you was the shipping container and also that and the width of the track. So he's going to go on to tell people that he paid a landscaper $10,000 to make this track. Now, if you can see what I can see on screen, it's just a little bit of dirt, some of that conduit, the black plastic conduit that basically serves as the bumper on the edges of the track. And then there's a brand fucking new steel shipping container, like from a giant ship. So he said he paid 10 grand for the track, $6,000 for the shipping container, and then installed solar lighting and ventilation onto the shipping container. So total cost, this must be $20,000 to build this track, something like that. So the reason this gets so interesting is because he posted a tweet or an X or whatever saying, hey, I just built my new RC track. Look how cool it is. And somebody responded to him like, weren't you just begging for money for something? And his response was, it's just dirt, you fucking retard. Like, it didn't cost me anything. But lo and behold, he would then 3 weeks ago come to post this video where he, like, for some reason goes into deep detail about how much it actually cost. And he himself describes that, like, oh, you could have done this for $5,000 yourself, but if you're this is his words, but if you're not a fat, smelly, lazy piece of shit like me, you know, you could have done it for $5,000, but I paid people to do it for me. It took 4 guys 2 days to come out and do this, and this was the result. And that cost $10,000. I'm assuming that doesn't count the shipping container. So this fucking track that he builds, which let me see if I can get a long shot of the track. So this is basically nothing, right? It's basically flat ground where they just laid some pipes down to show you like where you should drive. And you can kind of see it here where my mouse cursor is. There's like a hill to the middle. I'm sure you don't know this because you don't build RC tracks, but as someone who has attempted to build an RC track, that's one of the big no-nos. You don't put a hill in the middle because these are fucking toy cars that you have to see with your eyeballs in order to drive them. If you put a hill in the middle, the cars will drive behind the hill and you can't see them, so you can't fucking drive them. So the very simple basics of RC car track building is that your major features, your big jumps, your big curves, your banked turns, they all go on the outside of the track. So that no matter where you're standing, you'll always be able to see your car when they do that stuff, and you can see where it lands, and you can keep driving. And then they built something called...
Wait a second. He's got it all figured out. No, he's got it all figured out.
Okay.
You could tell by this video, this man knows what he's doing, and he's going to have another video paying somebody else $15,000 to build a podium of sorts that elevates him above the track so he could see everything at all times.
So that's
this is
going
to be after
stand.
His next Kickstarter asking for more money, and then he will build the podium.
Right. Guys, the left is coming for my RC track. I need your support to shut down the liberal left and build my chud track. So the best part about that is that's what the shipping container is for. He climbs on top of that $6,000 shipping container, and that's his driver's stand.
What the fuck? Why?
Because he has no sense and he has too much money, and I don't know, safety's not a concern, I guess.
But why a fucking ship out of all things you could have bought for $6,000?
Yeah, the lumber to build the driver's stand is, you know, a couple $100. And like literally any moron can do it. You look up the basics of how to build a frame and how to support that frame, and then you just build a little deck with like a little railing to lean against. And obviously you would build, the next glaring point that he's missing is a roof. So this guy lives like out in the Middle East, I think. Not the Middle East. The Mid-East. the
Afghanistan
Mid-East,
looks
right?
beautiful this time of year.
It's really nice. It cleans up good when you put in some RC track. But why does he have this trail? Like, doesn't it look like his property's on like a public trail with that little green like doggy bin thing?
Yeah.
That's super confusing to me, but we'll dive into that mystery later. So during this video, his dog walks up and takes a shit on his track too, because like he didn't put a fence around the track, so of course his dogs are gonna dig it up and shit on it. Somebody else posted on the Kino Casino video about this. They're like, I live 5 minutes from this guy and it just snowed 10 inches. So he didn't put a roof over this thing. He didn't put anything on it to preserve it, to keep it from like completely eroding. He mentions like he put drainage on it, but drainage doesn't do shit for snow. Snow's gonna make everything fucking muddy anyway. So this thing's probably already damaged to the point where it needs repair, because he didn't put an overhang over it. Like normally when you build one of these huge things, you'd invest in some kind of cheap overhang just to keep the most like severe weather off of it.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely going to erode. I'm sure if he lives in a place with a lot of snow, it also rains a lot, right? So,
well, and what people who don't live around snow might not know is that snow keeps the ground soggy for like months. When even if it's not snowing, after snow, there's just like perma mud for weeks and weeks until the sun finally comes back out for summer. That's why the people who live in snowy areas complain about winter all the time. I know, I lived in California a long time, and we had like an idealized idea of winter. But actual winter is just like, you probably can't run your RC cars at all because it's too fucking cold anyway. The plastic will get brittle at really low temperatures. The arms will break, the chassis will snap, stuff like that. But it's also just uncomfortable as shit to stand out there freezing cold. You know, you can't really feel your controller when you got gloves on. So there's not a ton of RC racing that happens in the winter anyway. But a totally unsheltered track is basically going to be start again next spring, because all this grass is going to grow up through it. He's talking about how you have to have like people come out and help you weed it. And he's like, oh, don't let your friends just come race on the track. Like, make sure they, you know, help you with maintenance too. So this guy kind of gets that this is going to be like a major maintenance initiative for him. But what's fucking insane is that he was just tweeting about needing money to go to this thing. And then in the same like couple of weeks, he produces this video talking about how he made the world's most dog shit RC track for the low price of like $16,000. So what I'm trying to show with like these long shots of the track is that there are no what we would call features on the track. There's no whoop section, which is like a series of bumps that you have to navigate at a certain pace to avoid having your car upset. There's no tabletop jumps. There's no double jumps, triple jumps, which would be like certainly like jumps with specific spacing so that you have to know how fast to hit it so you can smoothly land on the down ramp and like maintain a good lap time. These are just the most primitive basics of like daddy's first RC track. And there's none of that shit here. This is literally just a complete waste of $17,000. And it kind of, in my mind, leans into this kind of performative, just like capitalist, purchase-centric ideology that he's got, where it's all about buying it and showing it off, and none of it's about actually using it. I'm sure you'll notice the complete lack of RC cars here. He came out to show off the RC track and he didn't bring a fucking car. Bro, what are we doing? This guy's such a fucking phony. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about here is these ramps. So you can see these piles of black things in the back. I wish I had pulled out timestamps so I could actually show it, but he talks about these ramps that he can throw onto the track, and they're like interlocking like little black ramps. He refuses to say the company that makes them because they didn't pay him any money. So if you want to buy those ramps, you have to look them up yourself. He refuses to say because he didn't get any kickbacks from the people that make it. He talks about how you can then use these ramps to put out onto the track to like make a jump. This is what you do with an indoor carpet track because you can't shape dirt the way you want to. And most indoor carpet tracks have pre-built wooden ramps with like specific curvatures to them for the amount of like lift that they want out of the ramp. And they're not just like a simple triangle. The simple triangle ramps, I know that's what we used in BMX bikes when we were kids, but for real vehicle jumping that has suspension, you want like a smooth curve that goes up and basically ends. You don't want like an immediate shift into a hard angle, because then your shocks bounce. You kind of bounce at the beginning of the ramp and it doesn't make for a smooth jump. But this is something you would know if you raced an RC car at any point. But what's crazy is that he goes on to talk about these ramps, and he's like, look, if you're just a basher, you can take these ramps, you can put them out on the side of the yard and you can just jump around. But I've got like the big fancy track for like, I assume, racing, right? So there's one last point that I wanted to make on this stupid ass RC track, which is if it's for racing, you need a timing system, right? Like, how do you know what speed you got when you go around a lap? I'm sure you've been to bigger racetracks. They show you, or maybe you haven't. I don't know if you're as much of a hillbilly as I am, but if you go to a major race, they show you the speed of the car. They'll say like, this guy is in first place and his last lap time was this, his past 5 lap times were this. So you know if he's getting faster or slower. You know, as tires wear out, as fuel gets consumed, blah, blah, blah. There's all these little factors that can make lap on lap times change. There's no lap timing system in his fucking track. He spent $17,000 on this fucking garbage, and it literally looks like garbage. He didn't put a there's like nothing. There's no finish line. There's no start line. There's no, like, normally there's what they call a pit lane, so that people who need to get off the track, like to change a battery or to refuel if you're doing a fuel thing, they have a little pit lane that they can go onto. There's nothing. This is the most poser fucking track. So this is what baffles me. Like, how can you get this far into a hobby where you're dropping 20 grand on the fucking like peripherals, I guess you would call them, or on the setting to use this stuff, but you've used it so little, you've invested so much of your actual time into this hobby that you don't have a basic understanding of what would make a good track. Like,
looks like his dog's shitting right there too.
He does. His dog does shit on the track, and he says like, "Thanks for shitting on my track." I mean, he shits on the badlands in between. But this is another point. So he made all these lanes too narrow. There's no way that these lanes are wide enough for any kind of 8th scale, probably not even 10th scale, which is like the main racing thing. Oh, I prepared a visual aid. Okay. So I don't know if you can see this next to my head. This is like a 10th scale RC car. It's pretty fucking large. It's like my shoulder width. It's definitely bigger than my head. If you can see the width of these tracks, they're like maybe wide enough for 2 people to walk on. Normally your regular RC track is going to be like 12 feet wide, something like that. Like, you should have plenty of room for 4 or 5 people to walk side by side. And that's to give enough room for cars to, take wide turns and to pass each other. Like, obviously, if some guy's on the fast line, but you took the last corner better, you need room to get around him and pass. If you look at this skinny ass little straightaways that he's built, there's no room for any of that shit. So this is basically a 1-car track for doing time trials. And you see all this like ratty space that's between the tubes. What are you doing with all this fucking space? Like, why is the track not twice as wide, and then you have way less just wasted space out here?
Well, right, that would be a great space for another container.
True, right, yeah, you could put another shipping container to block the view of the rest of the track. But this hill drives me so nuts, because if you were standing at the shipping container, you can't see the way you can't take this turn and come up the hill because your view is blocked by this. Which is probably why he needed a 12-foot tall shipping container to stand on, because a regular sized podium wouldn't get you over this hill to see your car.
Man, I need to get into building tracks for people. 10K for this shit? What am I doing in my life?
That's what a bunch of comments were saying. Like, bro, this guy's such a fucking mark. Like, 10 grand dude, these tubes, you literally just lay them down and you just drive a spike through the top. That's it. There's no, like, you don't build anything under them. There's nothing inside the tubes. They're just empty plastic conduit. And then usually you just use like a railroad spike to just like hammer it through. And that's it. And then, yeah, you got to like flatten out the track. That takes some shovels. I'm sure you could, bring a fucking little machine out to do it. But like this whole thing, a couple guys can get this done in a couple of days with shovels. No power equipment required. Just a big pile of dirt. But because he didn't even build any features into it, so like this takes no time. Anyway, so this whole thing just baffles me. This guy gets onto his like right-wing grifter channel, tells people he's dying, like they're not going to make enough money. The left is coming for his coffee company. He's not going to be able to make it to TP USA to like, revere Charlie Kirk or whatever. And on the same fucking token, what he's actually spending his money on is the world's most dog shit RC track. Most people don't give a fuck about RC tracks, so this is just a pure waste of money. But what I wanted to bring the unique perspective here is that even if you love RC, this is still a complete fucking waste of money. This guy would have been better off making a flat track and just putting cones out and then using those shitty plastic ramps that he's got to build ramps. Sorry, I shouldn't say shitty. I'm sure Landwave or whatever the company is, I'm sure they make great ramps. I don't want to diss them, but those are more like loading ramps for trucks and things like that. They're not meant for sports because they don't have like a curve to them. Anyway, so that's my fucking super autistic rant about RC cars and how to waste money on them. Final thoughts there, Mr. Brickhouse.
Well, and fuck Randy. That's all I have to say.
Yeah. All right. So that's it on this topic. Thanks a lot, Randy. Peace out.
Mr. Jackson.